Good morning, everyone. This is Kendall Askins from Stimulating Minds. Askins stimulates over on Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe if you're enjoying our content. And just a reminder that Stimulating Minds is a company dedicated to cultivating lifelong learners. So while we're dealing with academics, we're also dealing with the whole person. So today, we are going to jump right into our topic. And today we're going to talk about grieving. So the motivation for this topic came in a conversation that I had this week. And as I was having the conversation, I was thinking, this is something really powerful that I wanted to make sure to share. So we all know that typically when we grieve, there are 5 stages. And so the 5 stages of grief that we would typically go through are denial, bargaining, sadness, anger, and acceptance, right? And I'll talk a little bit about each of those in a minute. But I will say that, again, typically when we think of grieving, we think of grieving when it comes to death. We typically tie grieving directly to death. And I am going to try to open up your mind a little bit and say that we don't just grieve when somebody dies. We grieve when we experience any change in our lives, good or bad. Good or bad, we grieve. We grieve the old and then, what we're going into. So when you think about that denial, right, we're asking ourselves, like, is this really happening? Right? Like, this is not happening, or we pretend the change is not happening. We put it off and we act as if it doesn't exist. Bargaining is like when you're going back and forth trying to reason, right? You're reasoning whatever happened, like, oh, well, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or you're trying to rationalize it in your mind. Sadness, self-explanatory, right? When you feel this heavy emotion, you're wanting to cry. That anger, we know what anger feels like. And then acceptance is when you finally understand, take in what's happening, and let it go. And so I want to offer to you that it is okay to feel these different emotions. Sometimes when we're experiencing changes in our lives, whether it's a new job, whether it is a move, whether it is a new position, whether it is death, whether it is a divorce, whether it is something happening to our children, whether it is, I don't know, anything that's changing, a new routine, a new car, whatever it is, right? We experience grief. And so if we are not understanding that we're experiencing grief, then we're going to think that there's something wrong with the emotions that we're feeling, right? We're often going to put ourselves like, in this place where we're going to push down the emotion and be embarrassed or ashamed that we're sad or that we're angry, and we're going to try to pretend that everything's okay. But when we understand that we're grieving, we're going to allow ourselves to go through those emotions and to feel those emotions, right? And I want to offer to you that when you're grieving, you want to speak it out, you want to write it out, you want to process it, and then be able to move forward and let it go. When you do those things and you identify, I am grieving and this is what I need to do, that is what's going to help you move through those emotions. When you don't allow yourself to speak it out, write it out, process it, you're going to end up getting stuck, right? And when you get stuck, that can be very dangerous to your mental health, to you as a person, to your growth and development. So it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay for a little bit to be bargaining and trying to rationalize, right? And it's okay to be in denial for a little bit. What's not okay is getting stuck in any one of those things. It's also okay to move through it and then it comes back up, right? I know that there's many times where I've been grieving and I've moved through a stage and then something will happen that will remind me or that will trigger something, right? And then the sadness might come back up or the anger comes back up. But because I've allowed myself to process that stage already, even though it comes back up, I'm able to say, oh, this is triggering me because of this. And you know what? It's okay. I'm able to shake my head and I'm able to go back into acceptance much faster. So sometimes people think that as you're moving through the phases, then once you move through a phase, then you're done, right? No, you're not done. It will come back up. It's cyclical. However, once you move into that acceptance phase, if you have truly, truly moved into that acceptance phase and you have let it go, remember, go back and visit our video on Forgive and Let Go. You have let it go. You will be able to process those other stages much faster when they come back up. If you have not let it go or moved into acceptance, like let's say you're in sadness and you move to anger and then you move back to sadness, then you're going to be in that phase still much longer. You want to get to that acceptance phase by processing the emotions. And once you're there, it does not mean you won't end up back in those other phases again, but you'll end up moving through them a lot faster than if you haven't accepted. So again, just remember that grieving is going to happen constantly. It's going to come up constantly. If you are growing, if you are becoming the best version of yourself, if you are living in your authentic self, you are going to grieve a lot in your life, and that is okay. But recognize that you are grieving. Allow yourself to feel those emotions, and I promise you, you will get through those phases and you will be able to get to the other side. So I hope this planted a seed for you. Let's hear about some things that you have grieved, maybe some ways that you have moved through the different phases. Maybe you are grieving something right now that you didn't recognize you were grieving, and this video has helped you recognize that you're grieving something. So drop that down in the chat. Let's talk about it. And if this video was helpful to you, please share it out. Please share it out. We want to get as many people healed as possible. So again, Kendall Askins, let's make it an amazing day. And I'll see you guys back here next Wednesday for more fun. Bye.